Greetings to all. A warm welcome to all of you, my dear ones. It's a new day, maybe new experiences, maybe an answer in your prayer, maybe new horizons, well, name it. It's a new day, a fresh start. And wherever we are, you need to remind yourself that the day is given to a new life. So come with me and living with a purpose. And for today it is, how can I handle discouragement? This is your Pastor Yeti. If you were asked to name the world's deadliest diseases, what would be your answer? Cancer, polio, MS, and we can go on. You probably wouldn't say discouragement. You might not even think of discouragement as a deadly disease, but it is. And it is more common than any of those others. Why is discouragement such a dreaded disease? First, because it's universal. All of us get discouraged. I do, you do, we all do. Discouragement is common. Yes, even Christians get discouraged. Second, because it's recurring. You can get discouragement a number of times. It's not just a one-time thing. And third, because it's highly contagious. Other people can get discouraged because you're discouraged. The good news is that discouragement is curable. A story from the life of Nehemiah illustrates 4 causes and 3 cures for discouragement. You may recall that the man Nehemiah was a leader of the Jewish group that had returned to Israel from Babylon to rebuild the wall around Jerusalem. When they first started on the wall, they had a lot of fervor and zeal and were very excited about the project. But after working for a while, they became discouraged. Chapter 4 of the book of Nehemiah has the people started out on a high note. So we rebuilt the wall till all of it reached half its height, for the people worked with all their hearts. But as the story continues, the mood changes. And meanwhile, the people in Judah said, the strength of the laborers is giving out, and there is such much rubble that we cannot rebuild the wall. Also, our enemies said, before they know it or see us, we will be right there among them and will kill them and put an end to the work. Then the Jews who lived near them came and told us 10 times over, wherever you turn, they will attack us. We have probably had this mood more often than we want to remember. You may be discouraged right now. This story shows why people become discouraged and how they can overcome that discouragement. It tells us what to do when we feel like giving up. Why do people get discouraged? The first reason is fatigue. The people in Judah said, the strength of the laborers is giving out. And in other words, they had worked themselves to exhaustion. They were just plain worn out, physically, mentally, and emotionally drained. Sometimes people come to me for counseling who are feeling discouraged and incorrectly think it is a spiritual problem. And they say, maybe I just need to recommit my life to the Lord. But their real problem is that they are just burned out. They need some rest, relaxation, and renewal. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is just go to bed and relax, or take an affordable 2-week vacation. Of course, if it is possible, according to your job you have. But when the fatigue and discouragement occur, look at verse 6. So we rebuilt the wall till all of it reached half its height. Do you know when you're apt to get discouraged the most? When you're halfway through a project. Everybody works hard at first, and these people work with all their heart. Why? Because of the newest of the project. It was exciting and novel at first, but after a while the newness wore off and the work got boring. Life settled down into a rut, then a routine, and then a ritual. Have you ever painted a room? I did. You get halfway through it and then look around and say, man, I'm getting tired and I'm just half finished. Not only that, but after I'm finished, I've got to clean everything up. That's also including when you do a painting, So, do you know what it means to clean out your filing cabinets? It means that you take all the things out of your file, then put them in different piles or over the floor. Then you get discouraged and put everything back the way it was. And so it is when you clean out a kitchen, when you clean out a garage. You can look at it from the first of the beginning and say, let's go and do it. But it's always get a price to pay. But anyway, have you ever started to hike up a mountain trail and thought, it'll only take me 2 hours to get to the top? But that are the words you're saying before you get up. But when you are only halfway up the trail, you have already spent 3 hours hiking. So you think, shall I keep going? I've got to go that far back down again too. And suddenly you start thinking, maybe it's God's will that I go back down. But that can be just a cop-out, an excuse to give up. Fatigue is the number one cause of discouragement, and it often happens right about the midpoint. And that is why so many people leave so many things unfinished and undone. But there is a second factor in a person's becoming discouraged. The Israelites said, there is so much rubble that we cannot rebuild the wall. That's frustration. They were disheartened and frustrated over what seemed to be an impossible situation. And what's rubble? They were building a new wall, but old broken rocks were everywhere, along with dirt and dried out mortar. When they looked at the rubble and the debris, they became discouraged. They lose sight of their goal because there was so much junk in their lives that they didn't know how to get the real business of living. Whenever you do a project, some waste is going to accumulate, and it can get to be pretty frustrating. Have you ever expanded a room or constructed a building? All of a sudden, there's piles of plaster all over the place. Or you paint a room and there's too much paint in the places where it shouldn't be, on the floor or on the window frames. The trash just seems to multiply. You cannot avoid rubbish in life. but you can learn to recognize it, and you can learn what to do with it so you do not give up on your original plan. What is the rubbish in your life? Is it the trivial things that waste your time and consume your energy and keep you from becoming all you want to be? It is the things that keep you from doing what is really most important in life, such as nurturing your spouse and children or being active in your areas of giftedness of church, at the church. The rubbish in your life is those things that get in your way, the interruptions that keep you from accomplishing your goals. There are the things we need to clean away in our lives. We need to take out the trash. A third reason why people become discouraged is also reflected in the Israelites' complaint. And they said, "We cannot rebuild the wall." Do you know what they were saying? "We're too tired. It's not possible. It's foolish to try. We give up. The problem here is failure." The people were unable to finish these tasks as quickly as they had originally planned. And as a result, their confidence plummeted. They lost heart and got discouraged. And they say, "We can't do it. So we're just going to give up." How do you handle failure in your life? Do you have a pity party? Do you say, "Oh, poor me, I can't get this job done"? Do you start complaining? "It's possible. It can't be done. It's impossible, I mean. I was a fool to even try. It's stupid." Or do you blame other people? "And everybody else let me down. They didn't do their part of the job." And there is a difference between winners and losers. And it is that the winners always see failure as being only a temporary setback. There is a fourth reason why people get discouraged. Nehemiah's people put it this way: "Our enemies said, before they know it or see us, we will be right there among them and will kill them and put an end to the work." There were people in the land of Israel who did not want the wall to be rebuilt. They were the enemies of the Jews. A wall around the city represented safety and defenses. So these enemies did not want the wall to be finished. So first they criticized the Jews. Then they ridiculed them. And finally they threatened them. "We're going to kill you if you keep on building the wall." And so the wall builders became discouraged. Why? Because of the fourth cause of discouragement, fear. Notice we became discouraged. It was the Jews who lived near the enemy. Then they discouraged others by saying, "Wherever you turn, they will attack us." And when you hang around a negative person long enough, you know what happens. You pick up his negativism too. If you hear someone repeatedly say, "It can't be done," you will start believing her. Do you have fears that are making you discouraged right now? Fears that are preventing you from developing and growing? Do you fear criticism or embarrassment? Are you afraid to take the big step and get a new job? Or a new vision in your life that needs to be changed because you stay too long in the old life? Maybe it's fear that you are not capable for the task. Maybe it's fear that you can't hold up under the pressure. Maybe it's a fear that you have to be perfect. Fear always discourages you. How can you tell if your discouragement is being caused by fear? You have a deep, intense desire to run. You have an intense desire to escape from life's demands and pressures. The natural reaction of fear is always to run. In life, there are only 3 ways you can move: against something in anger, away from it in fear, or with it in love. What is the antidote to this terrible disease of discouragement? Notice what Nehemiah did as a wise leader and a man of God. He knew what it was that discouraged people, so he took the appropriate actions to correct the problem. There are 3 principles to help you when you feel like giving up, and they are recognize, remember, and resist. Nehemiah used the reorganize principle. Therefore, I stationed some of the people behind the lowest points of the wall at the exposed places, posting them by families with their with their swords, spears, and bows. Nehemiah said in effect, we're going to get this thing really organized. We're going to get a new system here. Your people go over there, and you other people stand here, and we'll get this problem solved. The first principle in conquering discouragement is this: reorganize your life. When you get discouraged, don't give up on your goals. Instead, devise a new approach. When you are disheartened, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing the wrong thing. You can be doing the right thing in the wrong way. Was it wrong for these Jews to be building the wall? Absolutely not. It was the right thing, but they were going about it in the wrong way, and as a result, they became discouraged. Do you have a problem? Reorganize your life. Don't stay too long in the old one. Every day is a new given for new perspectives. A problem in your marriage, don't give up on it. Try a new attitude. A problem in your business, don't give up on it. Try a new approach. A problem in your Christian living, don't give up on it. Try a new prayer. A problem with your health, try a new doctor. Don't give up. Keep on keeping on. Some of you are discouraged because you are under tremendous pressure. Your workload is unbelievable. God's message to you is reorganize. Reorganize your time. Reorganize your schedule and refocus on your goal. Clear out the clutter and rubble and trivia, the things that are wasting your time. Then organize so you'll work better, faster, more efficiently toward your main goal. And notice that Nehemiah focused on priorities. When he reorganized, he posted the people by families. Why? Because he knew that anyone who is discouraged needs a support group. We need other people for support, and families are a natural group. When one person in a family gets discouraged, other members will lift them up. And we need fellow Christians who support each other and encourage one another. When I get down, you lift me up. And when you get down, I lift you up. That's a support group. And Solomon said, 2 are better than 1, because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep one warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord of 3 stands is not quickly broken. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, the verses 9 to 12. And what is Solomon saying? That it is important to have another people in our lives to help us and encourages us. A second way to overcome discouragement is to remember the Lord. Notice what Nehemiah said. After I looked things over, I stood up and said to the nobles, the officials and the rest of the people, don't be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great and awesome. You can find the scripture in Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 14. What does it mean to remember the Lord? It means to recommit yourself to Him. It means to rededicate yourself to Him. It means to draw on His spiritual power. What specifically should you remember? 3 things. First, remember God's goodness to you in the past. When you start thinking about all the good things that God has already done in your life, your spirit will be lifted and your anxiety eased. And second, remember God's closeness in the present. What is He doing in your life right now? He is with you whether or not you feel His nearness, because He said, "Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you." But let this not be the easy part words that you say, well, okay, it's not working, but I know God is always near, so no. Let it be an attitude of commitment again to your Lord and saying, I know God, and sometimes I forget that you're nearby. So remember yourself the commitment that you start anew. That is giving Him the glory. You may not be calling on God, but He is still here. And third, remember God's power for the future. He will give you strength for your needs. When you get discouraged, get your mind off your circumstances and focus on the Lord. Because circumstances depress and discourage. Keep in mind that your thoughts determine your feelings. If you feel discouraged, it is because you are thinking discouraging thoughts. And this can be so very true. If you want to feel encouraged instead, start thinking encouraging thoughts. Close some uplifting Bible verses to memorize. I can do everything through Him who gives me strength. Philippians 4:13. Nothing in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God. Romans 8:39. If God is for us, who can be against us? Romans 8 verse 31. Everything is possible for him who believes. Mark 9:23. You do not have to be discouraged in life. It is your choice. You may choose to give in, but great people simply refuse to be discouraged. They don't know how to quit. They never give up even when they are fatigued and frustrated and have failed and are fearful. Great people are ordinary people with extraordinary amounts of persistence. They just hang in there and never give up. So which of the four, I have 2 questions for you. Which of the 4 causes of discouragement affects you most at this time? What do you like to remember most about God when you are discouraged? And how does that help you? May God embrace you and lift you up, because we know that life gives us discouragements, and sometimes surprisingly from the closest part where we live with. You know what? Because they know us so much, and they know how sometimes to put some discouragement in our direction. So what can something there in between? Maybe some people are jealous. Maybe people don't like what we're doing. Get offended and all that. This is the way how we bring it all. We need to clean it all up for ourselves, and we don't have to do it alone. We have the guidance of the Holy Spirit. We have good people who will help us. Nehemiah put those who were discouraged, the workers, with their families. So God also wants to bring us with good friends, with good brothers and sisters to lift us up. Because it's through them, because all we are vessels, we all are instruments in God's hands who are called to encourage one another, to love one another. And this, my brothers and sisters, if I may say so, let it be your goal to step up and say, okay, I am discouraged in this life and it happened recently, but I don't want to give in. I really want to listen to the words of that strong guy who was having a very deep intimacy with God, Nehemiah. And I want to learn from him. I want to give it back to God. That's the attitude we have to have. Even we go to trials and tribulations and hardships and discouragements. Don't let it destroy you. Don't give any cause the power to make you sick. Don't let them take your health. Give all what God is giving you and reorganize your life and move on. Blessings to all of you, my dear ones. This is your Pastor Yeti. Bye.